They abandoned their dog because of their baby. Then it saved her life in a way that will leave you in tears. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the cozy living room, mingling with the sweet scent of baby powder. Sarah hummed a gentle lullaby as she bounced baby Lily in her arms, her gaze drifting towards the window where raindrops danced on the glass. It was a typical morning in the Miller household, a symphony of domesticity punctuated by the rhythmic cooing of their 6-month-old daughter. But beneath the surface of this idyllic scene, a tension simmered, a silent discord that cast a shadow over their peaceful existence. The source of this tension, their beloved golden retriever, Max, lay curled up on the rug, his head resting on his paws, his eyes watching the family with a mournful intensity. Max had been a part of their lives for 4 years, a constant companion through the ups and downs of their young marriage. He had been there through their first apartment, their wedding day, the joyful anticipation of Lily's arrival. He was more than just a pet. He was family, a furry extension of their hearts. But lately, things had changed. The demands of parenthood, the sleepless nights, the constant juggling of work and childcare had left little time or energy for Max. His once playful exuberance had been replaced by a quiet listlessness, his once vibrant coat now dull and matted. The walks in the park had become shorter and less frequent, the games of fetch replaced by hurried bathroom breaks in the backyard. The cuddles on the couch, once a nightly ritual, were now a rare occurrence, replaced by the constant demands of a growing baby. Max, sensing the shift in their affections, had become withdrawn and anxious. He would whine softly when left alone, his tail drooping dejectedly. He would follow Sarah around the house, his eyes pleading for attention. And at night, he would lie outside Lily's bedroom door, his soft whimpers a constant reminder of his neglected presence. Mark and Sarah, their hearts heavy with guilt, recognized the toll their busy lives were taking on Max. They had tried to make time for him, to shower him with affection, but the demands of parenthood seemed to consume every ounce of their energy. One evening, as they sat on the couch, Lily sleeping peacefully in her crib, the conversation they had been avoiding finally surfaced. "We can't keep doing this to him," Sarah said, her voice laced with sadness. "He's miserable." Mark nodded, his gaze fixed on Max, who lay curled up in the corner, his eyes filled with a quiet despair. "I know. It's not fair to him." The decision, though unspoken, hung heavy in the air. They loved Max, they truly did. But they also loved Lily, and they knew they couldn't give both the attention and care they deserved. The thought of giving Max away, of breaking the bond they had forged over the years, filled them with a profound sense of sadness. But they also knew that it was the right thing to do for Max, for Lily, for their family. And so, with heavy hearts and tear-filled eyes, they made the agonizing decision to find a new home for their beloved dog, a decision that would forever alter the course of their lives. The weight of their decision hung over the Miller household like a dark cloud. The once cheerful atmosphere was replaced by a somber silence, punctuated by Lily's innocent gurgles and Max's occasional whimpers. Mark and Sarah went through the motions of their daily routine, their hearts heavy with guilt and sadness. They tried to shower Max with extra affection, to make up for the neglect of recent months, but their efforts felt hollow, their smiles strained. Max, sensing the shift in their demeanor, grew even more anxious. He followed them from room to room, his tail tucked between his legs, his eyes pleading for reassurance. He would whine softly when they left the house, his body trembling with a fear of abandonment. One evening, as they sat at the dinner table, Lily sleeping peacefully in her crib, Mark and Sarah finally broached the subject. "We need to talk about Max," Mark said, his voice heavy with emotion. Sarah nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "I know, it's breaking my heart, but we can't keep him." They discussed the reasons for their decision, the lack of time and energy, the growing demands of parenthood, the fear that Max was not receiving the attention and care he deserved. They acknowledged the pain of separation, the guilt of giving up a beloved member of their family. But they also recognized the necessity of their decision, the responsibility they had to both Max and Lily. They wanted Max to have a home where he would be cherished, where he would receive the love and attention he craved. They wanted Lily to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment, where their focus could be solely on her needs. The conversation was difficult, filled with tears and regrets, but it also brought a sense of clarity. They knew they were making the right decision, even though it pained them deeply. The next day, they began the process of finding a new home for Max. They contacted local shelters, posted ads online, and reached out to friends and family. They described Max in glowing terms, highlighting his gentle nature, his playful spirit, his unwavering loyalty. They interviewed potential adopters, their hearts aching as they scrutinized each candidate, searching for the perfect family to welcome Max into their lives. They wanted to ensure that Max would be loved, cherished, and given the attention he deserved. The process was emotionally draining, a constant reminder of the impending separation. But they persevered, their determination fueled by their love for Max and their desire to find him the best possible home. As the days passed, the reality of their decision settled in. They began to say their goodbyes to Max, their hearts breaking with each stolen moment of affection. They took him on long walks in the park, played fetch in the backyard, and cuddled with him on the couch, savoring the precious time they had left. Max, sensing the impending change, grew increasingly clingy. He followed them everywhere, his eyes filled with a mournful intensity. He would lie at their feet, his head resting on their laps, as if trying to absorb their presence, to imprint their scent upon his memory. The day finally arrived when they had to say goodbye. A young couple, John and Mary, had been chosen as Max's new family. They were kind and compassionate, with a spacious home and a large backyard, the perfect environment for a dog like Max. As John and Mary arrived to pick up Max, tears streamed down Sarah's face. She knelt beside Max, her arms wrapped around his neck, her voice choked with emotion. "We love you, Max," she whispered. "We'll never forget you." Mark, his own eyes filled with tears, patted Max's head, his voice thick with sadness. "Be a good boy, Max. You're going to a wonderful home." Max, sensing the finality of the moment, licked away their tears, his tail wagging weakly. He looked at them with a mournful intensity, as if trying to memorize their faces, to imprint their love upon his heart. Then, with a heavy heart and a final pat on the head, they watched as John and Mary led Max away, his silhouette disappearing down the street, leaving behind a void in their lives and a lingering ache in their hearts. The house felt eerily quiet without Max. The silence, once a comforting backdrop to their family life, now echoed with the absence of his playful barks and the rhythmic thumping of his tail against the furniture. Lily, oblivious to the change, gurgled happily in her playpen, her innocent laughter a stark contrast to the somber mood that had settled over the house. Sarah wandered through the rooms, her gaze lingering on Max's empty bed, his abandoned toys, the faint scent of his fur that still clung to the furniture. Memories flooded her mind, images of Max as a playful puppy, his clumsy attempts to catch his tail, his joyful greetings at the door, his comforting presence during her pregnancy. Tears welled up in her eyes, a wave of regret washing over her. Had they made the right decision? Was Max truly better off in a new home, or had they abandoned a loyal member of their family? Mark, sensing her distress, wrapped his arms around her, his voice a gentle murmur of comfort. "It's okay, Sarah. We did what was best for him." Sarah nodded, her tears soaking his shirt. "I know, but it hurts so much." They spent the next few days adjusting to life without Max. The house felt empty, the silence deafening. Even Lily seemed to sense the absence of her furry playmate, her laughter less frequent, her cries more insistent. Mark and Sarah tried to focus on Lily, to shower her with the love and attention they had been dividing between her and Max. But a part of them felt hollow, a void that Max's presence had once filled. They continued to receive updates from John and Mary, Max's new owners. They were reassured to hear that Max was settling in well, that he was happy and healthy, that he had already become an integral part of their family. But even with these reassurances, a nagging doubt lingered in their minds. Had they made the right decision, or had they made a mistake they would forever regret? One evening, as they sat on the couch, Lily sleeping peacefully in her crib, Sarah stumbled upon a photo album filled with pictures of Max. She turned the pages slowly, her heart aching with each image. There was Max as a puppy, his eyes wide with wonder, his tail wagging furiously. There was Max on their wedding day, dressed in a tiny tuxedo, his tongue lolling out in a goofy grin. There was Max with a pregnant Sarah, his head resting on her belly, his eyes filled with a protective tenderness. And then, there was Max with Lily, his gentle gaze fixed on the newborn baby, his massive head resting protectively beside her tiny form. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she realized the depth of the bond between Max and Lily. They had grown up together, Lily's first smiles and giggles directed at her furry companion. Max had been her protector, her playmate, her confidant. She closed the album, her heart heavy with regret. She had not only given away a beloved pet, she had taken away a part of Lily's life, a part of her childhood that could never be replaced. She looked at Mark, her eyes filled with a newfound determination. "We need to get him back," she said, her voice firm with conviction. Mark, sensing the shift in her demeanor, nodded in agreement. "I know. I've been feeling the same way." They knew it wouldn't be easy. They had already given Max away, and they couldn't simply demand him back. But they were determined to try, to explore every avenue, to reunite their family, to bring Max back into their lives and into Lily's heart. The decision to try and get Max back ignited a spark of hope in Sarah and Mark's hearts. The house, which had felt so empty and lifeless, suddenly seemed brighter, the silence less oppressive. Even Lily seemed to sense the shift in their mood, her gurgles and giggles filling the air with a renewed vibrancy. They contacted John and Mary, explaining their change of heart and their desire to reunite with Max. To their relief, John and Mary were understanding, their voices filled with sympathy and a touch of sadness. "We've grown quite attached to Max," Mary admitted. "He's a wonderful dog. But we understand," John added. "He's your family. We'll be sad to see him go, but we want what's best for him." They arranged to meet the following weekend, giving everyone time to prepare for the emotional reunion. Sarah and Mark spent the intervening days preparing for Max's return, cleaning his old bed, buying new toys, and stocking up on his favorite treats. They also took the opportunity to reflect on the reasons they had given Max away in the first place. They acknowledged the challenges of parenthood, the lack of time and energy, the fear that they couldn't give Max the attention he deserved. But they also recognized that they had allowed those challenges to overshadow the joy Max brought into their lives. They had forgotten the unconditional love he offered, the comforting presence he provided, the laughter and joy he inspired. They vowed to do better this time, to make time for Max, to integrate him into their family life, to ensure that he felt loved and cherished. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to make it work, for Max, for Lily, for their family. The weekend arrived, bringing with it a mix of anticipation and anxiety. As John and Mary pulled up to the house, Max's excited barks filled the air. He bounded out of the car, his tail wagging furiously, his eyes shining with recognition. Sarah and Mark knelt down, their arms outstretched, their voices choked with emotion. "Max!" they cried in unison. Max, with a joyful yelp, leaped into their arms, showering them with licks and wagging his tail so hard his entire body wiggled. He seemed to radiate happiness, his eyes sparkling with a renewed sense of belonging. Lily, witnessing the reunion, squealed with delight, her tiny hands reaching out for her furry friend. Max, gentle as ever, licked her face, his tail wagging softly as he reveled in the warmth of her embrace. The reunion was a joyous occasion, filled with laughter, tears, and a renewed sense of hope. But beneath the surface of this heartwarming scene, a lingering uncertainty remained. Could they truly make it work this time? Could they balance the demands of parenthood with the needs of their beloved dog? As they watched Max frolic in the backyard with Lily, their hearts filled with love and a renewed determination. They knew they had been given a second chance, a chance to rebuild their bond, to strengthen their family, to create a new beginning filled with love, laughter, and the unwavering loyalty of their furry companion. The initial joy of Max's return gradually settled into a comfortable routine. The house was once again filled with the familiar sounds of playful barks, the rhythmic thumping of a wagging tail, and the soft patting of paws on the hardwood floor. Lily, now a year old, had rediscovered her furry playmate, her giggles echoing through the house as she chased Max around the furniture. Mark and Sarah, true to their word, made a conscious effort to include Max in their daily lives. They took him on longer walks, played fetch in the backyard, and even incorporated him into their bedtime routine, allowing him to curl up at the foot of their bed while they read Lily a bedtime story. Max, basking in the renewed attention, thrived. His coat regained its luster, his eyes sparkled with happiness, and his playful spirit returned with a vengeance. He seemed to understand that he was truly home, that he was loved and cherished, that he was an integral part of their family. But despite their best efforts, the challenges of parenthood persisted. The sleepless nights, the endless diaper changes, the constant juggling of work and childcare left little time for anything else. And as the weeks passed, a familiar tension began to creep back into their lives. One evening, as Sarah struggled to soothe a fussy Lily, Mark looked at Max, who lay curled up in the corner, his eyes filled with a quiet understanding. A wave of guilt washed over him. They were neglecting Max again, allowing the demands of parenthood to overshadow their commitment to their furry companion. He shared his concerns with Sarah, and they both acknowledged the need for a change. They decided to hire a dog walker to take Max on daily walks, freeing up some time for themselves and ensuring that Max received the exercise and attention he needed. They also made a conscious effort to include Max in their family activities. They took him on picnics in the park, visited the local dog park, and even included him in their weekly trips to the farmer's market. Max, responding to their efforts, blossomed. He was no longer the anxious, neglected dog who had been returned to them. He was a happy, confident companion, his tail wagging constantly, his eyes shining with love and devotion. One afternoon, as Sarah was preparing lunch in the kitchen, a sudden crash from the living room startled her. She rushed into the room, her heart pounding with fear, to find Lily sprawled on the floor, her face contorted in pain, a small pool of blood forming beneath her head. A heavy vase, precariously perched on a shelf, had fallen, striking Lily on the head. Sarah, her mind reeling with panic, scooped up Lily, her cries echoing through the house. Mark, hearing the commotion, rushed into the room, his face pale with concern. He took Lily from Sarah, his eyes scanning her for injuries. As they assessed the situation, their fear growing with each passing moment, Max suddenly sprang into action. He leaped onto the couch, his paws frantically pawing at the shelf where the vase had been. He barked insistently, his eyes fixed on the fallen vase, his body trembling with a mixture of fear and urgency. Mark and Sarah, initially confused by Max's behavior, quickly realized what he was trying to tell them. The vase had not simply fallen. It had been knocked over, and Max was trying to alert them to the danger. They scanned the room, their eyes searching for any sign of an intruder. But the house was empty, the doors and windows securely locked. They were alone, with Lily injured and Max frantically trying to warn them of an unseen threat. A chilling realization dawned on them. Lily had not simply fallen. She had been pushed, and the only other living creature in the house was their beloved dog, Max. Their hearts sank with a mixture of disbelief and horror. Could Max, their loyal companion, their furry family member, have harmed their precious daughter? The thought that Max, their gentle and loving companion, could have harmed Lily was unbearable. A wave of nausea washed over Sarah, and she felt her knees weaken. Mark, his face pale with shock, instinctively pulled Lily closer, his protective instincts overriding his disbelief. They looked at Max, who stood frozen by the couch, his tail tucked between his legs, his eyes wide with fear and confusion. He whimpered softly, his body trembling as he sensed the shift in their demeanor, the accusation hanging heavy in the air. "Max," Mark said, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. "Did you do this?" Max, unable to comprehend the situation, whined again, his ears drooping, his gaze darting between them and the fallen vase. He seemed to sense their suspicion, their fear, the sudden chasm that had opened between them. Sarah, her maternal instincts overriding her initial shock, knelt beside Lily, examining her injury. The bleeding had stopped, but a large bump was forming on her forehead. Lily, still whimpering, reached out for her mother, her tiny hands clutching at Sarah's shirt. "We need to take her to the hospital," Sarah said, her voice trembling with concern. Mark nodded, his mind racing. He couldn't shake the image of Max pushing Lily, the thought that their beloved dog could have harmed their child. But deep down, a voice whispered that something wasn't right, that there had to be another explanation. He looked at Max, who cowered in the corner, his body trembling, his eyes filled with fear and confusion. He remembered the countless times Max had gently played with Lily, the way he would patiently endure her tugging at his fur, the protective gaze he would cast upon her as she slept. He couldn't reconcile the image of Max as an aggressor with the gentle and loving companion he had always known. There had to be another explanation, another factor they were overlooking. "We can't jump to conclusions," Mark said, his voice firm with conviction. "We need to figure out what really happened." Sarah, her maternal instincts battling with her confusion, nodded reluctantly. "You're right, but what if?" "We'll deal with that later," Mark interrupted, his voice gentle but resolute. "Right now, Lily needs our attention." They rushed Lily to the hospital, their hearts pounding with worry. The doctors, after examining Lily, assured them that her injuries were not serious, that the bump on her head was simply a bruise, and that she would make a full recovery. Relief washed over them, a wave of gratitude for Lily's well-being. But the question of what had happened, of Max's potential involvement, lingered like a dark cloud over their joy. Back home, they found Max curled up in his bed, his body still trembling, his eyes filled with a deep sadness. They looked at him, their hearts aching with a mixture of love and confusion. They couldn't bring themselves to believe that Max had intentionally harmed Lily. But they also couldn't ignore the evidence, the fallen vase, Max's frantic behavior, the lack of any other explanation. They decided to consult with a veterinarian, hoping to gain some insight into Max's behavior. The vet, after examining Max and listening to their story, offered a different perspective. "Golden retrievers are known for their gentle nature," the vet explained. "They are incredibly loyal and protective of their families, especially children." She suggested that Max might have sensed a danger that they were unaware of, that his frantic behavior was an attempt to warn them, not to harm Lily. "It's possible that something startled Lily, causing her to fall," the vet continued. "Max, sensing her distress, might have reacted instinctively, trying to alert you to the situation." This new perspective offered a glimmer of hope, a possibility that Max was not the aggressor, but rather a protector, a loyal companion who had tried to warn them of an unseen danger. Mark and Sarah, their hearts filled with a renewed sense of love for their dog, embraced the possibility. They decided to give Max another chance, to trust their instincts, to believe in the bond they had forged over the years. They knelt beside Max, their voices filled with remorse and affection. "We're so sorry, Max," Sarah whispered, stroking his fur. "We should have trusted you." Max, sensing the shift in their demeanor, wagged his tail weakly, his eyes filled with a grateful understanding. He licked their hands, his rough tongue a balm to their wounded hearts. The incident had shaken them, had tested their faith in their beloved companion. But it had also strengthened their resolve, their commitment to Max, their belief in the unbreakable bond that tied them together. They knew they had made mistakes, had allowed the challenges of parenthood to overshadow their love for Max. But they were determined to do better, to nurture their relationship with their furry companion, to create a safe and loving environment for their entire family, human and canine alike. The incident with the vase became a turning point for the Miller family. It forced them to confront their lingering doubts, their subconscious fears, and the unintentional neglect that had crept into their relationship with Max. They emerged from the experience with a renewed sense of commitment to their furry companion, a determination to strengthen the bond that had been momentarily strained. They began by seeking professional help. They consulted with a dog behaviorist, who observed Max's interactions with Lily and assessed his overall temperament. The behaviorist confirmed their suspicions that Max was not inherently aggressive, that his actions had likely been motivated by a desire to protect Lily, not harm her. Armed with this reassurance, they embarked on a journey of reconnection. They dedicated more time to Max, incorporating him into their daily routines, their playtime with Lily, and even their bedtime rituals. They took him on longer walks, exploring new trails and parks, allowing him to sniff and explore to his heart's content. They enrolled him in an obedience class, not to correct any behavioral issues, but to strengthen their communication and deepen their understanding of his cues and signals. They learned to read his body language, to interpret his barks and whimpers, to anticipate his needs and respond with love and consistency. Max, in turn, responded with an outpouring of affection and loyalty. He seemed to sense their renewed commitment, their genuine desire to include him in their lives. He followed them with a renewed spring in his step, his tail wagging constantly, his eyes shining with a joyful exuberance. He became Lily's constant shadow, patiently enduring her clumsy attempts to ride on his back, her enthusiastic hugs, and her endless games of hide and seek. He would lie beside her as she played with her toys, his watchful gaze a silent guardian against any unseen danger. The house was once again filled with laughter and playful barks, a symphony of family life that included their furry companion. The tension that had once lingered in the air dissipated, replaced by a sense of harmony and unconditional love. One sunny afternoon, as they picnicked in the park, Lily toddled towards the edge of the pond, her eyes fixed on a family of ducks gliding across the water. Mark and Sarah, momentarily distracted by a conversation, didn't notice her wandering off. Max, however, was ever vigilant. He sensed the potential danger, the slippery bank, the deep water. With a low growl, he gently nudged Lily away from the edge, his body acting as a barrier between her and the water. Mark and Sarah, startled by Max's growl, turned to see Lily safely back from the edge, Max standing guard beside her, his tail wagging softly, his eyes filled with a gentle concern. A wave of gratitude washed over them, a realization of how close they had come to a potential tragedy. Max, their loyal companion, had once again proven his unwavering devotion, his protective instincts kicking in to safeguard their precious daughter. They embraced Max, their voices filled with love and appreciation. "Thank you, Max," Sarah whispered, her tears flowing freely. "You saved her again." Max, in response, licked away her tears, his rough tongue a balm to their anxieties. He had done what any loyal dog would do. He had protected his family. He had reaffirmed the unbreakable bond that tied them together. The incident at the pond solidified their commitment to Max. They had learned from their mistakes, had recognized the importance of including him in their lives, of nurturing the bond that had been momentarily strained. They knew that parenthood was a challenging journey, filled with unexpected twists and turns. But they also knew that they were not alone on this journey, that they had a loyal companion by their side, a furry guardian angel who would always be there to protect their precious daughter, to share their joys and sorrows, to remind them of the enduring power of love and loyalty. Summer descended upon Pine Ridge, bringing with it long sunny days, warm evenings, and a sense of carefree joy. The Miller family embraced the season with open arms, spending their days exploring the outdoors, picnicking in the park, and splashing in the cool waters of the community pool. Max, ever the adventurer, reveled in the warm weather and the abundance of outdoor activities. He chased butterflies in the meadows, swam in the lake, and accompanied the family on hikes through the wooded trails, his boundless energy a constant source of amusement. Lily, now a toddler, had become Max's inseparable companion. They were an adorable pair, their laughter echoing through the house and the surrounding neighborhood. Max patiently endured Lily's enthusiastic hugs, her attempts to ride on his back, and her endless games of hide and seek. One sweltering afternoon, as a thunderstorm raged outside, the Miller family gathered in the living room, seeking refuge from the torrential downpour and the ominous cracks of thunder. Lily, fascinated by the flashing lightning and the booming thunder, sat on the floor, her eyes wide with wonder. Max, sensing her apprehension, lay beside her, his presence a comforting anchor in the storm. He would occasionally whimper softly, his ears twitching at the deafening claps of thunder, but his gaze remained fixed on Lily, his protective instincts heightened. Suddenly, a deafening crack echoed through the house, followed by a blinding flash of lightning. The lights flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Lily, startled by the sudden darkness and the deafening sound, burst into tears. Sarah, her maternal instincts kicking in, scooped up Lily, her voice a soothing murmur as she tried to calm her daughter's fears. Mark, fumbling for his phone, activated the flashlight, casting an eerie glow on the darkened room. As they tried to navigate the darkness, a strange crackling sound reached their ears, followed by the acrid smell of smoke. They looked towards the source of the sound, their eyes widening in horror as they saw flames licking at the curtains, the fire quickly spreading to the nearby furniture. Panic surged through them. The storm had knocked out the power lines, and a stray bolt of lightning had ignited a fire in their living room. They were trapped, with a raging fire blocking their escape and their terrified daughter in their arms. Mark, his mind racing, grabbed a fire extinguisher from the kitchen, but it was too late. The flames had spread rapidly, engulfing the living room in a fiery inferno. They were trapped, with no way out, their escape route blocked by the raging flames. In that moment of sheer terror, Max sprang into action. He barked loudly, his voice cutting through the chaos, his eyes fixed on the back door, the only remaining escape route. He then darted towards the door, his body weaving through the flames, his barks urging them to follow. Mark and Sarah, their instincts taking over, followed Max's lead. They shielded Lily with their bodies, their hearts pounding with fear as they navigated the smoke-filled room, the flames licking at their heels. Max, leading the way, pushed open the back door, his barks guiding them towards safety. They stumbled out into the pouring rain, their lungs burning from the smoke, their bodies trembling with fear. They collapsed onto the wet grass, their hearts pounding, their breaths ragged. They looked back at the house, the flames now engulfing the entire structure, their home reduced to a fiery inferno. They had escaped, thanks to the quick thinking and bravery of their beloved dog. Max, their loyal companion, had once again proven his unwavering devotion, his heroic act saving their lives. As they huddled together, the rain washing away the soot and tears, they embraced Max, their voices choked with gratitude and love. He had not only been their pet, their companion, their furry family member, he had been their savior, their hero, their guardian angel. In that moment, amidst the chaos and destruction, they realized the true depth of their bond with Max. He was more than just a dog. He was a part of their family, a testament to the enduring power of love, loyalty, and the extraordinary connection between humans and animals. The aftermath of the fire was a blur of activity and emotion. The Miller family, thankfully unharmed but displaced from their home, found temporary refuge with Sarah's parents. The community rallied around them, offering support, clothing, and meals, their kindness a balm to their shaken spirits. The fire had destroyed their home and most of their possessions, but it had also forged an unbreakable bond between them and their heroic dog. Max, hailed as a hero by the local news and the community, basked in the attention, his tail wagging incessantly, his eyes shining with pride. The insurance company deemed the house a total loss, and the Millers faced the daunting task of rebuilding their lives. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, a sense of gratitude prevailed. They had each other, they had their health, and they had Max, their loyal companion who had saved them from the fire. They decided to rebuild their home on the same property, a testament to their resilience and their determination to reclaim their lives. The new house, designed with Max in mind, included a spacious dog room, a large fenced-in backyard, and a cozy fireplace where they could all cuddle together on chilly evenings. As the new house took shape, the Millers focused on strengthening their bond with Max. They enrolled him in agility training, where he excelled, his natural athleticism and intelligence shining through. They took him on long hikes in the nearby mountains, exploring new trails and enjoying the breathtaking scenery. They also made a conscious effort to include Max in their daily routines, their playtime with Lily, and their family outings. Max, thriving in this loving environment, became an even more integral part of their lives. Lily, now 4 years old, adored Max. He was her best friend, her confidant, her protector. They were inseparable, their laughter echoing through the house and the surrounding neighborhood. One crisp autumn afternoon, as the leaves danced in the wind, the Millers gathered in their backyard for a family photo. They posed in front of their newly rebuilt home, their smiles radiating happiness and gratitude. Max, sitting proudly between Mark and Sarah, Lily nestled in his furry embrace, looked at the camera with a knowing gaze. He had been through a lot with this family, had shared their joys and sorrows, had protected them from harm. And as the camera clicked, capturing this moment of love and unity, Max felt a sense of contentment wash over him. He was home, he was loved, and he was exactly where he was meant to be. The fire had been a devastating experience, but it had also been a catalyst for growth and transformation. It had strengthened their bond, deepened their appreciation for each other, and reaffirmed the enduring power of love and loyalty. The Millers, their hearts filled with gratitude for their furry hero, embraced their new beginning, their lives forever intertwined with the extraordinary dog who had not only saved them from the flames, but had also ignited a flame of love and devotion that would burn brightly for years to come.